Don't try and please them all the time. Don't try and avoid all the fit scenes, meltdowns, and tantrums. If you know that you're following through and doing the right thing and you're a loving parent, you're a leader, they have to learn that sometimes they have to do stuff they don't like to do. They have to go places they don't want to go and just make it happen anyway.
I think that people are looking for the golden consequence, the final master consequence.
We all learn in life through consequences. And I used to tell my kids, if you're good, life is good. If you're bad, life ain't so good. I'll make sure of that because that's my job. I'm your mom. Welcome to the BratBusters Parenting Podcast. My name's Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom. I'm also a grandmother.
And I'm Amy Bunnage, Lisa's daughter, and I handle the marketing and planning here at BratBusters. While I don't have kids, each episode will dive into parenting topics and Lisa will answer your questions. Let's get started.
Okay, Puddin'? What are we talking about today? I used to call her Puddin' when she was little.
You've had a lot of names for me.
I've had a lot of names. Well, the big one, should I say it? I think I've said it before. I had this nickname for her. One of her friends remembered it as teenagers. It was Aimer, Bummer, Stinker, Breather, Pooper, Pantser. And where I came up with it. Poor Amy.
On that note, today we're going to be talking about consequences.
Oh, do I get a consequence for bringing that up?
Possibly.
Okay. Consequences. Okay, I got to write it down because I always forget the title of the podcast. Consequences. Okay, good. And I know what the questions are going to be already. What are the best consequences? Can you give us some more consequence ideas? Yeah. I hope that there's some really specific situations where I could be more specific about consequences. Everyone thinks the punishment has to fit the crime. Not always. No, the consequence to me is just a good deed. And with kids, there's always two consequences. There's the first one is the good deed, like doing a chore, and you always time it. You do a chore within 15 minutes being asked to do so or something like that. And then if they won't do that, because that's the positive action one, then you resort to the negative deprivation. You take something away. Like it could be 24-hour media blackout or something like that. Yeah. So those are the two consequences for the kids. That's on the behavior board, which is free on my website, BratBusters.com. You just have to join the newsletter to get that. But it explains it all. It's a mini course. It also has a section for toddlers on there because the behavior board doesn't start till they're 3. And a toddler to me is about 16 to 35 months.
Okay. And what can and can't go on the board as far as rules?
Attitude. You can never put attitude on there. Oh, you respect me, or don't use a sassy tone. And yet you can put that with yourself. You can put anything for you, but not with kids. Attitude. Their bad attitude towards you is on you. It means you're not a leader yet. You haven't earned the good attitude. The attitude is the last thing that fixes itself, and it happens organically. But it takes like 3 to 6 months to really cement. They don't tend to give attitude to a leader. They just don't. But yeah, you gotta earn that. It's the very last thing to go away. Of all the bad behaviors, it's not a bad behavior, it's just an attitude. Of all the negative things that you want to fix with your kids, it's the very last thing to go away, and it happens organically. But you can't put that on the board. You got to earn that respect, by the way. It's all about you. So you've got to earn it. You can't tell them, you do what I say the first time. I've had people who've changed my behavior board after, I always say, you paid me all this money to work with me, and then you change the behavior board, and they put something like this: do what I say the first time. And they can't figure out why it doesn't work. There's no way that's ever going to work. Okay, that's in the attitude department. They're ignoring you because they don't respect you. You've got some work to do on yourself. But anyway, so we'll get into this.
So I have taken from Gemini some ideas on things that kids might do that would require a consequence. And maybe you could give some examples of how you would approach it.
Well, does everyone know what Gemini is?
Gemini, it's like a AI. It's like a ChatGPT version.
Okay, just confirming, because not everyone might not know what no, did I say that right? Not everyone might not know what that is. Okay, so go, Gemini.
Everyone,
no, I don't know. Okay.
So the first one is refusing to brush teeth after being asked multiple times.
Well, I need to know an age. And plus, why are you asking multiple times? You ask once, or you don't even ask. Just say, okay, time to brush your teeth. If they don't go and do it right then, if it's an opportune time, like you don't do it when they're outside playing, but if it's time to brush their teeth, they just got out of the tub or something. If they don't do it, you go over and do it with them. You get a toothbrush and you do the teeth with them. But if they're 3 and above, I might have a little bit of a different consequence. Like this is for a toddler I'm talking about. But if they're 3 and above, I would say brush your teeth within 5 minutes of being asked to do so, or there's a consequence if you don't. The problem with that is they often don't care if they get a consequence. They hate brushing their teeth. So it still has to, because it's hygiene, it still has to happen. So you can still have the consequence, and then I would go over and brush their teeth. I don't care how old they are. It would be done horribly, but I'd still go over and do it. And then they'd still need to get a consequence for not brushing their teeth because they didn't do it within the 5 minutes and you had to do it for them. It gets ugly. Yes, it does. But just stay calm, no anger, completely calm. The calmer you are, the better this works.
So the next one is a 2-year-old throwing a tantrum when it's time to get into their car seat.
Oh, that's an easy one. You just hold them over the car seat. They're usually stiff as a board, if not convex. You know how they go like the other way, their stomach's way up in the air, and they're just stiff as a board. So you just hold them over their car seat. And you just wait till they take a breath and start to relax. And then you just fold them in and click, click, put them in as fast as possible. Okay, you don't want to talk to them though. You don't want to look at them. They're having a fit because they don't want to go in the car seat. They need to go in the car seat. So you just make it happen. This is a 2-year-old. So you follow up and you don't say, come on, do you want to get in your car seat? Don't talk like that. Just say, okay, time to get in your car seat. We're going now. And then you do that. And then just make it happen. Follow up the word with the action. Time to get in your car seat. And if they have a fit, you just wait for it. Just stand there holding them over the car seat and then clip them in as soon as you can.
Okay, the next one is 4-year-old throwing a toy at their friend.
Okay, I would put that on the behavior board and I would say no hitting or hurting other people, and throwing a toy at someone is in that category. And if they do, because they threw it at a friend, I might have, let's say they have a favorite toy. I might say, okay, so you threw that toy at the friend. I'm going to go off the behavior board because, I'm going to go off the behavior board this time. You can do that. Like I would never use a behavior board. It's a teaching tool. It teaches you how to do this. But I would actually go off the behavior board with that one. And I would say, look, the rule is no hurting other people, right? It's on the board. What we're going to do though is because you hurt your little friend, we're going to give him your PlayStation for him to use over the weekend, or his favorite game, something that he absolutely loves. You would give that to that victim to play with for that weekend or something like that. So in other words, if they do something mean to someone, then they have to do something nice for someone. Now, this is a 4-year-old. I wouldn't do that with a 3-year-old probably even, but a 4-year-old is starting to understand that. So yeah, they get their favorite toy for a weekend or something. So you do something nice for them. That is one that the punishment fits the crime, but it's not always appropriate. It's not always doable.
Let's talk about the idea of natural consequences.
I don't really understand that. What's a natural consequence?
It would be the idea that it's a great question.
Well, you brought it up. So I've heard that before. And a natural consequence is, I assume it's the punishment fits the crime. Something that just fits in like naturally with what they did wrong. But if they hit someone, that would mean that you'd hit them back. So I don't understand that. I never understood that one. I don't know, because I don't know what anyone else is teaching. I've never looked it up, but some people will ask me about that and I say, I don't know. I only teach what I know. I don't critique other methods.
Let's say an example could be that they decided to throw a toy, not at someone, but just throw it, is that you make them go pick it up and clean it up.
Good luck getting them to pick that up because they threw it in anger. Now they're angry and you're going to try and get them to pick up that toy. Good luck with that. It might work. You can give it a go. But yeah, I would just have a different consequence for that. And the consequence could be that they have to pick up that toy plus do something else. That could be it. But yeah, good luck with getting them to do that.
Okay, we have 2 more examples. So 5-year-old interrupting adults repeatedly in the middle of a conversation.
Okay, I would say he's old enough. I would put on the behavior board, no interrupting other people. So when we're in the middle of a conversation, also make sure you play with that kid enough. Make sure he does get enough attention. You might say he gets lots of attention, but do you actually play in his world? Do you actually play with him a lot? So, and then when you start talking and if he interrupts, say, oh, okay, let's go to the board. You go over to the board and you say, remember, no interrupting. So here's your consequence. If he continues to do it, then you go to the second consequence. And you say, that's the third time. I always say 3 strikes are out. So the first consequence didn't work because it's just a chore. And the second one, another chore. And then the third one, you say, okay, media blackout for 24 hours starts now. Not fair, not fair. I hate you. Oh, well. Start, don't get pulled into that. That's not fair. I didn't know. Oh, well, now you know. You'll know next time, won't you? So yeah, interrupting with a 5-year-old, that's how I would do it. I would put it on the behavior board. It's not in the attitude department because it's an action.
The final one is 7-year-old lying about doing a chore like making their bed when it isn't.
Well, that's pretty easy to find out. How can they lie about doing something when you can see it's been done? Okay, so assuming that they have chores that they have to do every single day, and then if they don't do it, there's a consequence. So then they lie about saying they did it, and let's say you don't have access to the home right then or whatever, you're out somewhere. Yeah, I made my bed. When you get home and you find that they didn't make their bed, say, look, I'll tell you what, your rule was you had to make your bed every morning, and you didn't do that, so there's going to be a consequence. And then you lied. I know there's no board that says no lying, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a second consequence for that. So, and you can say to him, I would even say, do you think that's fair? See what he says. He's 7. Or you can just put no lying on the behavior board and deal with it that way too. You can have 3 behavior boards after 3 weeks. So you do 1 behavior board per week. The first one could be make your bed every morning before a certain time. Second one could be no lying. So then he's just broken 2 rules. But if you don't have a behavior board on lying, you can just bring that up and say, there's going to be a consequence for that too.
Okay. Do you want to get into the questions?
I thought those were the questions. Oh, that was Gemini. Sorry.
Those were examples.
Examples. Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, you were asking, so it sounded like a question to me. I got all confused.
Okay, let's go. So we have Mila from Germany. My 8-year-old son gets hysterical very quickly and complains a lot. For example, if the bus arrives late, or if he doesn't or if he doesn't want his 5-year-old brother to talk to him. He is really good at sticking to other rules from the behavior board, but can I add a rule to it to be impatience and sometimes aggressive behavior?
No. Well, you can put aggressive behavior because you can't have him hurting other people, but you can't put down be patient to a kid. Now, you said that he gets mad when the bus is late, so he sounds very entitled. And his younger brother annoys him. He gets mad. He doesn't want him talking to him. He sounds entitled. So I'm wondering what's built that you would have built that, by the way. So I don't know how you did that, but you're used to catering to him to avoid a scene. I'm pretty sure that would be right. So you don't want the scene. So you try to appease him. Okay, it'll be here soon. If he gets mad, if a bus was running late and a kid got all upset with me because it was running late, I'd say deal with it. Like there's no way I would feed that or even explain it. Like because he's 8 years old, he understands that sometimes buses are late and things can't always go his way. But yeah, he sounds very entitled. So make sure that if he is acting like that, like if he's unhappy that his little brother's bothering him or that the bus is late or whatever, say, well, deal with it. So yeah, you can't put that on the board though.
How would you approach raising kids who aren't entitled in general?
Oh, what do you mean? So make sure that they're not entitled. Is that what you mean? Don't try and please them all the time. Don't try and avoid all the fit scenes, meltdowns, and tantrums. If you know that you're following through and doing the right thing and you're a loving parent, you're a leader, and you never yell at them or anything. If you yell, it's harder. But yeah, try not to yell. That's one of the, if you do yell, put it on the behavior board as your number 1 rule. First week, no yelling. Anyway, so they have to learn that sometimes they have to do stuff they don't like to do. They have to go places they don't want to go and just make it happen anyway. And don't apologize for that. It would be like if my kids had said, oh, well, I don't want to do homework. I would say my response would have been, oh, wait a minute. Do you know? Well, I mean, I would have had a lot of responses. But if you'd said, I don't like doing homework, I don't want to do it, what would I have said?
Well, I was going to say I don't like scrubbing these floors, but you actually did enjoy cleaning.
I love cleaning.
But you would have probably used, well, I don't feel like making dinner either.
That's exactly what I would have said. Exactly. I don't feel like making dinner. I hate cooking.
You looked surprised as if I didn't grow up with you.
I didn't know you'd get it that spot on. I would have said, I don't feel like cooking dinner tonight either, but it's happening. So like, in other words, deal with it. Like I don't give it any power. I just kind of level it and say, yeah, I don't feel like paying taxes, but I got to do that too. And my kids would have gone, okay, Mom, okay. Jeez.
Okay, the next one is Melissa from the United States. I have 2 kids, ages 5 and 7. Been listening to the podcast some, and I definitely have been the pleaser parent. I'm wondering how you would handle it if there's behavior you've decided to put on the behavior board that the child does multiple times per day. If they refuse to do the positive action, then you do the negative deprivation, and then they do it again and again, as there's only so much you can take away. Thank you so much for your time.
That's perfect. And it comes up a lot. So what do you do if you've had to resort to the negative deprivation consequence, which is the second one on the behavior board? Check out BratBusters.com if you want to get the behavior board. It's completely free. It's actually a mini course, and there's a toddler section, a toddler course in there too. Anyway, those are free. So I forgot what I was saying.
5 and 7.
No, no. What was she saying about I literally just flew out of my head like in a shot.
Multiple times per day.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this does come up a lot. I'm gonna answer it now quick before I forget again. Okay, so let's say that the rule is no hitting your brother, and then they hit their brother once, so you have a consequence, and then they hit them twice, so you do another consequence. The first one, the positive action. Then on that third one, or let's say they don't do the first consequence, so they just won't do it. So you say, okay, fine, media blackout starts now, 24 hours, and you just start it. And then in that, now they keep hitting during that time. Do your best to defend the victim, but you only say this maybe once, and you would say, well, that's why you've got media blackout. There's nothing you can do in that 24 hours. They've got you by the knackers because there's nothing else you can do. But they're going to learn in the future. It's more about investing in tomorrow, not today. One of my favorite recent stories was one of my clients had a 7-year-old little boy. I thought this was so cute. And she said, yeah, you can share this. It was so cute. And he had 24 hours of media blackout, no screens. And I think he had a PlayStation or something that he just loved. So after this 24-hour media blackout, he gets his PlayStation back, and he didn't know the mom was right there, like behind him listening. And he just says to himself, as soon as he sits down, starts playing, he says, well, I won't be doing that again. Like he learned. So, and he didn't, so he ended up doing either not breaking the rule in the first place or doing the first positive action consequence. But that first 24 hours, that's a rough 24 hours, but it's worth it. You're investing in tomorrow. Remember, I often say short-term pain for long-term gain. A lot of people do short-term gain for long-term pain. You don't want to do that. I actually said that right. I'm pretty sure I said that correctly.
Okay, the next one is Hadil from the United States. My daughter is 3.5. When introducing the behavior board and beyond, after explaining the rule and consequence, how many times do I remind her of the rule? Do I just say it once?
Yes, you only say it once, and then when she breaks it, you learn as you go. She's only 3.5. She will learn as you go. So you say, okay, the rule is you have to put your shoes away, but I would have a reminder if it's a chore or something that she has to do. Like as soon as you come in the house, I would say, okay, so you have to put your shoes away and your jacket away within 5 minutes of arriving home. I would say that just as we're arriving home. And then as soon as you get in the door, I would say, okay, the timer starts now. The 5-minute timer starts now. She already knows what needs to be done because there's reminders. You might have like masking tape or painter's tape, box it off in a spot where her shoes go. You can put a picture where her coat, anything. You can put stickers as a visual reminder of what needs to be done. You're mixing it up. You're changing the environment when you first walk in the door. So she gets it. And if she chooses not to do it, you don't say anything if she walks away. You wait till that 5 minutes is up. Don't say anything, except you might say 2 more minutes. Okay, she knows because you're standing there, right? You're right where this new environment is. You've put stickers up where everything needs to go. She chose not to do it. And then when the alarm goes off, you say, okay, let's go to the board. Then you say, let's look at the rule. Remember, the rule was you had to put your shoes and your jacket away within 5 minutes. And the timer went, you didn't do it. So now you have to clean the window or whatever. So that's the first consequence. She will learn as she goes, as you go along. She'll start to clue in. Plus, wait a minute, the consequence isn't a big deal either. Like there's nothing wrong with having them wipe down maybe the fridge or something, or wipe down a little coffee table with a wet rag. It's not a big deal if they get a consequence. A lot of people think, well, I don't want to punish my kids. It's not a big deal to get them to wipe something down that takes and the consequence should only be like a minute or two, if that. And it's easy, but you give them 10 or 15 minutes to do it because you want to give them time to procrastinate and complain. Just don't answer them. Just ignore them. You're just a timekeeper.
I do see that message online is that parents want to parent without punishments.
Well, there's no lesson learned. So do you want to drive without ever getting a ticket? And you can go through stop signs and do whatever you want. Like you're raising really entitled snots. Like there's got to be consequences. That's how we all learn. Like do you not want consequences if you don't pay your taxes? You think that's unfair? It's like every time I see, every so often it'll come up in my feed, so I must have watched it. People who are really fighting the cops when they're being arrested. Not fair, I'm going to sue you. My daddy is such and such. They just don't understand accountability. Do you know if you actually drive drunk, you might actually end up being arrested? But they just fight it and fight it and fight it because they weren't raised with any accountability. That's what punishment or discipline does. It teaches you that if you do something, if you're good, life is good. If you're bad, life may not be so good. It's that entitlement you want to avoid.
Okay. The next one is Christina from Germany. My husband travels a lot, and I'm noticing that every time he's away, my almost 3-year-old boy starts acting out like crazy. Very rude, yelling, hitting, spitting. How can I make this better?
Now, when he's away, okay, so in other words, dad's the one that keeps him in line, I'm assuming. And you don't just work on your leadership skills. Check out my behavior board. That's the training wheels with all this. It's free on my website, BratBusters.com. You just have to join my newsletter to get that. So check it out. He just doesn't respect you. He's not yet 3, so I wouldn't probably start the behavior board, but that little course, it actually has a toddler section in it too. So he just doesn't respect you. That's all. You got to work on your leadership skills, and he won't. Like if he's spitting on you, you got to work on your leadership skills. Remember, they're just reflecting you. Toddlers, they're going to be a little bit crazy anyway, but spitting and that's next level, especially if he's not like that with dad. It says he knows how to behave, just not with you.
Okay, the next one is Natalie from the United States. I have a strong-willed 6-year-old daughter. Do you have any tips for time management with her? The more I push, the slower she goes. There are some good days, but most days are challenging. We have to wake up for school extra early to avoid missing the bus. Likewise, for getting ready for bed, we start earlier to get her in bed at a good time.
Well, there just has to be like routines. So you can put on one behavior board, follow school morning routine, have it all written out. And then if she doesn't do that, then there's a consequence. Same with the nighttime routine, follow nighttime routine. So you want to start with one per week though. Okay. You don't do them both in 1 week. So you just do one, like I would actually do school morning routine first. And because you got to get her off to school, right? There's a couple different ways of doing school morning routine. One is you can put it on the board, and if they don't follow it, there's a consequence. The problem with that is they'll often not care about the consequence in the morning because they're tired and cranky, right? So what I like to do with school morning routine is I sometimes don't even put it on a board, and I just say, here's our new school morning routine, and there's an incentive. Say, look, let's say that you have to be out the door by 8, so they have to be up at 7. So if you're all ready, and that put a big list of everything they need to have done. Eaten, got dressed, packed their bag, whatever. So by 7:45, if you're all ready and your bag is by the door, whatever, then you can have 10 minutes on the iPad. So it's an incentive-based thing, but they only get that 10 minutes, okay? And then the last 5 minutes is getting out the door. If they don't follow that, let's say that they do get that 10 minutes and then they fight with you because they don't want to turn the iPad off, and also tell them, say, look, don't start a game that you can't finish in 10 minutes. Oh, my show's still going. Well, that was on you. I told you don't start anything that you can't finish in that 10 minutes. So then you take that away. If they argue with you and they're difficult, the next day you say, yesterday you were difficult, you argued with me, so today you only get 5 minutes. You can't take it completely away or else they'll never get ready. Right? So you got to give them something. That's the way I like to do it. I like to have an incentive. So if you're all ready, because mornings, the reason I use incentive, I think it's the only, 2 things I use. You can look at it like rewards sort of, but there's only 2 things I do it with. One is school morning routine and the other one is potty training. Okay. The reason why I do is they're almost the same. The bodily functions, getting out of bed and waking up is sometimes difficult. So I like to have an incentive for that, a reward for actually getting yourself awake and getting stuff done. That's why, and then with potty training, obviously, as a bodily function. So those are the only 2 systems I can think of that I use rewards with, or incentive, however you want to look at it. How does that sound? Were you even listening? I think she just tunes me out when I'm talking. I don't blame her. Poor Amy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, wake up. Come on, wake up. Okay.
Okay, so we have Hannah from the United States. Daughter will be 4 beginning of December. We've implemented your recommendations for a long time, noticing good results. However, recently we've noticed a lot of bad behavior. She will tell us no a lot, she will kick and hit us if we follow through. Mid-tantrum, she will kick and hit, in turn hurting us or even herself. I feel like any consequence I've used is not affecting her. I don't know if it's my lack of following through or if whatever it is just not important enough to her anymore to matter if it's taken away. I need help. She's gone from an enjoyable child to a hard time wanting to wake up to. She is screaming and whining a lot.
I don't know what's triggered this. It could have something happened at school, and don't freak out. It might not have been anything big. But yeah, something might have triggered that, or else she's just found her power a little bit late, because usually at 3 they find their power if they're going to be more difficult. And all of a sudden she's hitting and kicking and saying no a lot. I don't know, to be honest. 3.5 is not the age that usually turns. So I don't know what changed. And do you spend enough time with her? Do you play with her in her world? Their love language is fun. So, and that's one of their needs. Are you meeting her needs? Are you playing with her? I don't know. Are you connecting with her? Connection, I haven't even talked about that yet in this podcast, but connection is way more important than discipline. So I'm wondering if you're maybe not as connected as you could be with her, playing in her world. Their love language is fun and it's all in their world. So yeah, maybe give that a go. Maybe up that a little bit.
I'm glad that we're going to touch on the connection piece because I do think that's so important. And it's just something that you talk about so much and just it's like the crux of leadership in
It's
your mind.
everything. It's everything. The discipline is secondary, but it's just that's what I get asked all the time. But the connection is always in their world, and it's always no matter what age they are, it's always in their world, and it's something that they love or that makes them feel good or it makes them laugh or giggle or whatever, and it's always something on their level too. So you're playing with them in their world. When you do that, it's the epitome of respect. Like if someone shows an interest in your interest and joins in and actually has fun doing it with you, it just feels great at any age. Okay. So you're building up their self-esteem by doing that. And also when you do that, you're the source of that. When you're the source of their high self-esteem, they're going to treat you like gold.
Out of curiosity, because I'm assuming 3.5, maybe they're starting some sort of preschool or kindergarten. Do you find that when they're going from that shift of being around their parents 24/7 to all of a sudden being off away, do you find that parents play with their kids less because of that?
Oh, I thought you were going to go in a different direction with that. I don't No, because they're so busy anyway. They're busy playing all day, so they don't tend to miss out a lot. But when you come home, the first thing you should do when you come home with kids after school or whatever is if they are inclined to be, more challenging, is that first 5 minutes, play with them. Just 5 minutes, put on a timer, and they'll get used to that timer, the alarm going, and that's the end of it. Otherwise, can we just keep playing? Can we just say, oh, we got 5 minutes, let's go play hide and seek or something for 5 minutes. So yeah, no, I don't notice a big difference because they're playing and their needs are being met, even though it's not with you. They're out, they're playing all day at daycare and school and all that. Well, she's 3.5. She's probably in preschool or something. Anyway, yeah, they're busy playing all day anyway.
Okay, we have one final question. So, Taylor from Canada. Two girls, ages 4 and 3, very possessive and fighting a lot recently. 3-year-old is very strong willed and they can get aggressive with pinching and grabbing each other. I do my best to let them figure it out themselves unless someone's hurting and really try to provide them all with equal attention and connection. They also have a 1-year-old sister. Any tips on the best way to approach these situations while creating an environment to grow their bond?
Okay, if they're fighting, there's two things that you want to do. You want to stop the fighting and you also want to teach them how to get along. So the way that you stop the fighting is you just say, oh, can't get along. You come with me for 5 minutes. Take one of them in the kitchen with you while you're cleaning the dishes or whatever you're doing. And then you're just chatting to them like nothing's happened. You never discuss the bad behavior. Okay. Then then you say, okay, 5 minutes is up and you put them back and you might want to show them like, look, you play with that. You play with that. So you might want to try and set up a system where they're not going to have one thing to fight over. You can try that. But then when you put them back together, as soon as they start fighting again, you take out the other one. You keep removing back and forth, back and forth. They get sick of this. So that's one thing. That's to stop the fighting. But another one is that a lot of parents think that they should do one-on-one time with each kid. I don't really recommend that. It's okay as they get older and they have different interests, but I played with both my kids at the same time. We didn't do that one-on-one connection because we connected all like the three of us. That was that, and they connected. I was teaching them how to get along so that when I did leave, they got along because they were used to getting along with me there facilitating it. So you're teaching them how to get along. A lot of people think that should just come naturally. No, it doesn't always come naturally. You have to teach them how to share. Okay, so you've got that toy for 2 minutes. Now, ding, ding, the alarm went. Now I've got a family just recently. They were doing that. The kids had their own timer and it was I think it was a sand timer or something that, they could literally just tip it over themselves. And then when the timer went out, they had to switch the toy. The other one got it. If they didn't do it right away, then the other one got it twice the amount of time. They were doing it themselves and they were young. Like they were probably 3 and 4 and 5 around there. And they were really young and they were doing that themselves. So you're teaching them how to get along. You don't just teach them how not to fight. You teach them how to get along too.
Okay, that was the end of the questions. Do you have any final thoughts just on consequences? It's a hard word to get out.
I hate that word because I say it all the time and it's so long. Why can't it just be a real cute, like little cons instead of consequences? Anyway, we all learn in life through consequences. And I used to tell my kids, if your good life is good, if your bad life ain't so good, I'll make sure of that because that's my job. I'm your mom. In other words, I'm going to teach you that when your good life is good, when your bad life is bad. I just always sort of talk like that all the time. So I wanted them to learn that if you do the right thing, then good things will come your way. Not all the time. Some luck is involved, and the odds, you're working with the odds too. But if you make the bad decision, then I'm going to be in there with a consequence. That's how you learn not to do bad things, is through consequences. If we didn't have consequences in life, we'd never pay taxes, we'd speed, we'd go through stop signs, we wouldn't pay for our groceries. If we do all those wrong things, there's going to be a consequence. You're preparing them for life. If you don't want them to have any consequences for anything, you're not preparing them for life. They're going to be very difficult, very entitled, and very difficult to be around. So yeah, consequences they're a positive. It's like if you do something, and also if you do something good, there's also a consequence to that. It feels good if you do something nice for someone. So yeah, there's consequences to me, it's a positive, not a negative.
And I think maybe a final note, because this episode was actually inspired because you just get so many questions in the comments about consequences. If you ever mention the word consequence and you don't say what consequence it is, you're bound to get questions about it. But I think that people are looking for the golden consequence, the final master consequence.
There isn't one. And that's the thing, is it can just be give them a wet rag and they have to wipe down a windowsill. That can literally be a consequence. It's the act of doing a good deed. If they don't do that, then you say, okay, 24-hour media blackout, or I'm taking your favorite toy away. Never take away like a comfort thing, like a plushie that they sleep with or anything, but take away something fun that they like, that they use every single day. Take it away for a whole day. That's the second consequence, okay, if they won't do the first one. It's not the consequence, it's the action of doing it, okay? They understand, and they'll often say, well, I don't care anyway. That's just bravado, right? They're beating their chest, trying to prove that you can't get to them. Say, okay, well, that's good then. It won't bother you. That's fine. So yeah, just the act of having a consequence. Don't worry about what it is, but you want to be 100% consistent. Follow through. If you say, and parents say, well, oh, I always mess up. I threaten and then I don't follow through. Be careful what you say, because you got to say what you mean and mean what you say. So in other words, it's not that you have to say all these things and then follow through. Just don't say anything if you can't follow through. Something really stupid I did years ago is I drove my son, he was about 4, drove him down to this big theme park with a friend well, she came with her kids separately. So he just was in a mood. He looked miserable. So I said to him, we'd driven like a whole hour just to get to this place. And I said, if you don't put a smile on your face, we're driving home right now. And my friend went, oh no, because she knows I would have. And as soon as I said it, I regretted it, because I thought, oh no. But of course he put a big smile on his face right away and he had a great day. But yeah, careful what you say, because you got to follow through. Okay, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back again for another episode talking about parenting. Happy parenting.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're ready to dive deeper, check out BratBusters.com to learn more about the Behavior Board, parenting courses, and private one-on-one coaching with Lisa. If you've enjoyed the show so far, we'd love it if you could take a moment to follow, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more parents just like you. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional advice. Lisa is a parenting coach, mom, and grandmother. She is not a licensed psychologist or counselor. Her services do not replace the care of psychologists or other healthcare professionals. For a full disclaimer, please visit BratBusters.com/disclaimer.